Despite allegations of voter fraud and without certified electoral votes, many world leaders have congratulated Biden for purportedly winning the U.S. election. But that does not include China. Why is China keeping silent? A fire breaks out in a chemical plant in China. Residents suspect there is a cover-up. The half-year-long in-campus lockdown drives college students crazy. Many scream out in the dark, threatening to commit suicide if they are not allowed out. A confirmed CCP virus case put a big city under wartime status, and the local authorities refuse to give out more information, saying the outbreak is not an issue citizens should be concerned about. And it's not only about cell phones. Huawei Marine is silently taking over your internet access on a massive scale. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Despite allegations of voter fraud and with ballot counting still ongoing, some world leaders have congratulated Joe Biden on winning the U.S. election. But China, a country with especially high stakes in the White House race, has remained relatively silent. We look into possible reasoning behind Beijing's uncharacteristic quiet.
The U.S. 2020 election remains far from over. That's with voter fraud allegations, vote counting and recounting, and lawsuits in key battleground states. Some world leaders have nonetheless congratulated Joe Biden on winning.
I congratulate Joe Biden from the bottom of my heart on his election as the 46th President of the United States of America.
But I join with other nations' leaders around the world in congratulating President-elect Joe Biden.
But one major player is missing here, China. Chinese officials have tread cautiously on the subject of election results.
We
note that Mr. Biden has declared victory. We understand that the result of the U.S. presidential election will be determined following U.S. laws and procedures.
China affairs commentator Tang Jingyuan said one reason is that the Chinese regime is trying to avoid provoking President Trump. Even if Biden is elected, Trump still has 2 months left in office.
Then in these 2 months, Trump could very likely take many extremely harsh actions against the CCP, which will be even more disadvantageous for them.
So far, the Trump administration has taken unprecedented measures to challenge China on trade. It has also punished the regime for its suppression of Hong Kong and the Uyghur ethnic group in Xinjiang, as well as its claims to the South China Sea and its espionage operations in the U.S. Another concern for the Communist Party comes with the recent news on Joe Biden's son Hunter and his business dealings with a Chinese oil company. The company has been linked to Chinese intelligence and military agencies. One of Hunter's former business partners alleges that Joe Biden is aware of the dealings.
I've heard Joe Biden say that he's never discussed business with Hunter. That is false. I have firsthand knowledge about this because I directly dealt with the Biden family, including Joe Biden.
The Biden campaign has repeatedly denied the allegations.
If Biden indeed becomes president, his potential ties with China could become a topic that Republican lawmakers will snatch at and keep pursuing. Under this situation, the Chinese Communist Party has the motivation to downplay any relations with Biden.
But despite Beijing's silence, some Chinese state media have shown signs of relief. Global Times newspaper states that Biden's potential win could bring breathing room for U.S.-China relations, and that Biden entering the White House will be an opportunity to rebuild mutual trust between the U.S. and the Chinese Communist regime. Penny Zhou, NTD News.
Flames and smoke engulfed a chemical plant in China. The smoke clouded a county 90 miles away, but authorities are making contradictory statements. NTD's Juliet Song has the story.
On China's National Fire Prevention Day, a fire broke out in a chemical plant. The plant is in China's southwest Zhejiang province. A resident who lives less than a mile away reported seeing smoke and small explosions. To protect his identity, we've distorted his voice.
Anyway, the air smells really pungent now.
Following the explosion, Huang left his home in such a rush that he didn't bring anything with him.
Seeing that the chemical plant exploded like an atomic bomb, we didn't dare to stay at home. We didn't even finish our meal and just left in our car.
Huang said no government officials showed up for help. He also didn't hear any announcements from authorities following the incident. he explained that he's afraid to go back home for safety reasons.
Right now, no one's taking care of us. We're just going with the flow, not sure what the current situation is.
At the same time, officials appear to be making contradicting claims as to whether the smoke could be toxic. Local authorities say no toxic gas has been found so far, but in a social media post, the province-level fire department said otherwise. It explained the chemical that's burning is called chlorosilane and releases toxic byproducts when it comes in contact with fire. 3 hours after the explosion, the sky darkened over a county almost 18 miles away. A pungent smell reportedly followed. Local residents suspected it was caused by the smoke from the fire. The smell dissipated after about an hour. Authorities claim no one was injured and that the fire is now under control. The same chemical plant saw another explosion back in 2013. Xiaohua Gu and Juliet Song, NTD News.
The chairman of a major Chinese bank was sentenced to death for embezzlement on Friday, for amounts of totaling about $1.5 billion. This averages around $60,000 every day. The former chairman of China's Hengfeng Bank has been officially charged by the Intermediate People's Court of Eastern China's Dongying City. He is sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve. But it is normal in China for a death sentence with reprieve to change to a sentence of life imprisonment after the reprieve period is completed. Tsai is convicted of abuse of power, embezzlement of public funds, and receiving bribes. He is also accused of illegally issuing rewards to employees. This caused the bank to suffer losses of about $135 million. According to British magazine The Banker, Hengfeng Bank is ranked among the top 200 global banks as of 2017. Yet on Tsai's public resume, it shows that he had no prior experience relevant to banks when he was hired as chairman. His primary experience was in politics. He served many years in the Chinese Communist Youth League system and as deputy secretary of a Chinese county. During his period as chairman, he also acted as a party secretary for the Chinese Communist Party. A college in China's Xinjiang region has been under lockdown since April. That's because of the pandemic, even though authorities say everything is under control. Students there say they are being driven crazy after half a year of being trapped on campus. They were even reportedly blocked from leaving their dorms in order to attend loved ones' funerals.
Students from Xinjiang Education Institute claim they have been locked in school since April due to the CCP virus outbreak. That's even though daily reports for a couple of months said there were no or only a handful of confirmed cases from abroad. Many students of the college are on the brink of collapse. From a video of the dormitory building at night, we can hear students crying for vacations. Many say they will commit suicide if this goes on. We interviewed a student from the college. To protect her identity, we give her the pseudonym Zhang Yan. She confirmed that her school has been put under lockdown since April. Even during summer vacation, students were not allowed to leave the campus. The chance to leave campus is now becoming even slimmer due to the rapid growth of virus cases in Xinjiang since late October. From there till late last week, the local official updates revealed almost 1,000 positive cases, with over 800 in Urumqi. That's the city where her college is located. She said her college has never issued an official notice about the lockdown. Her class teacher just spoke to students, telling them they can neither go home nor have holidays outside of the campus.
Then one day, my classmate's grandmother passed away. He asked the counselor for a leave of absence, but our counselor said, "She has already died. You'd better stay here safe and sound."
The students complained on Chinese social media Weibo or WeChat. Once caught, the teachers scolded them.
All they do is scold us, saying we shouldn't be thinking that way. Now we dare not complain on Weibo. Once you publish a comment, the counselor will find you and mark an offense on your record or something like that.
Zhang Yan told us that screaming burst out from the male dormitories. Students shouted that if lockdown continues, they will jump off the building.
We've been wanting to show our desperation all along, but we have been scared of being punished. But it's either that or we think we won't be able to leave for winter vacations.
Zhang Yan told us the freshmen were locked in their dormitories the first day they came to school, 8 people in one room, and they were unable to take showers for 15 days. Zhang said they are locked down in the name of quarantine. Free food was delivered to the freshmen, but the price for other students has risen dramatically.
The food price for us has increased several times. It's really hard to afford it. Many students only have one meal a day now, and we often see bugs in our meals.
She says there's nowhere they can be heard. Weibo posts are deleted. The authorities don't respond to their phone calls. Every effort they take is silenced. Zhang Yan finally said, "This is not like normal quarantine. Rather, it's like the intent is to drive them crazy." Reporting by Gu Xiaohua, NTD News.
Now we take a look at the CCP virus situation in northern China. Tianjin City reported one confirmed case over the weekend. The city is located around 90 miles east of China's capital, Beijing. The infected patient was found to be a loading worker for a frozen food company. According to official reports, the patient loaded imported frozen pork last week and was later diagnosed with the virus. 8 more workers who lived in the same building reportedly had close contact with him. As for the food the patient loaded, it was shipped to 3 other regions in China, but authorities have failed to disclose where it was sent. Following the news, Tianjin officials declared wartime status for the area. Citizens there are blocked from hosting parties or gatherings and are asked to wear masks. But the order has left some netizens questioning why the strong precautions are being taken for only one confirmed virus case. We called the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in one of the city's districts for answers. It's the same district the infected patient had been working in before the diagnosis. Our reporter posed as a local during the phone call, requesting more information about the outbreak. The district CDC told her not to worry, but refused to give out more information.
那咱现在到底检测出来几例了？那现在都不知道哎。你再看那个官方的那个信息就行，你别听别人传。那他那个8个专列工现在怎么样了呀？现在我们也不知道啊。哎呀，那你们是疾控中心的，应该知道哎，哈。那我们那个疾控中心的知道，我就在电话里跟你说一顿，有什么用呢？这一个人检测出，那别人又去拉货的话，这不是还有危险吗？那些人走到哪去了也不知道哎。跟你说呀，你这就是替古人担心了。你要真这样的话，武汉的时候要让你这样操心，你还受得了吗？你还？那是住在就是那个是汉古街那哪个小区啊？不知道。那这次是什么原因得的？是人传人还是说是什么猪蹄还是海鲜啊？到底怎么回事啊？这都闹不清楚，我不知道。哎，那你们疾控中心不知道啊这个事情啊？但是我们不能对外说，那个这也不是你该关心的问题呀，是吧？
Apart from Tianjin City's wartime status, emergency virus testing has been conducted in 3 other nearby provinces, Shandong, Shanxi, and Hebei. Some areas inside Jilin province have also issued related announcements. Pfizer Inc. says its experimental vaccine was more than 90% effective in preventing the virus, based on initial data from a large study. It's a major victory in the race against the pandemic.
Pharmaceutical giant Pfizer says that its experimental coronavirus vaccine is more than 90% effective. That's based on initial data from a large study. Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech are the first drug makers to show successful data from a large-scale clinical trial of a coronavirus vaccine. The companies say they've so far found no serious safety concerns and expect to seek authorization for emergency use in the United States later this month. If authorized, the number of vaccine doses will initially be limited. Many questions also remain, including how long the vaccine will provide protection. Pfizer and BioNTech have a $1.95 billion contract with the US government to deliver 100 million vaccine doses beginning this year. They've also reached supply agreements with the European Union, the UK, Canada and Japan.
American video surveillance company IPVM discovered some unusual products made by one of China's largest artificial intelligence developers, China Dahua Technology. In particular, a facial recognition software designed specifically to detect the biological features of Uyghurs, a minority ethnic group local to China's Xinjiang region. The tech was found in Dahua Technology's product code. The code reads ethnic category Uyghur Xinjiang. Dahua did not respond to IPVM's inquiry into the discovery. Some 30 minutes after IPVM made the inquiry, the relevant information on Dahua's website was taken down. 2019 data shows Dahua Technology has the second largest global market share in the video surveillance industry. Its vast surveillance network leaves nowhere for Xinjiang's Uyghurs to hide in China. The equipment is known to aid authorities in finding and sending them to labor camps. Dahua calls it Uyghur-specific facial recognition technology Mighty. The company claims its video surveillance project has brought in almost $1 billion from Xinjiang police alone. The tech company was also on the U.S. government's entity list since last October. Despite this, the company rebranded its product lines in North America under the names WizSense and WizMind. That's after setting a $10 million deal with Amazon this year. Undersea cables connect people from across the globe and make it possible for people to go online. Chinese telecom company Huawei Marine has constructed or upgraded some 25% of all such cables globally. That alerted the attention of the U.S.
Submarine cables laid on the seabed keep the internet functioning. They are considered to be one of the most important pieces of infrastructure in the digital age, and laying such cables is considered one of the most difficult projects in the field of network infrastructure. The latest statistics from Washington-based Telegeography show that there are currently more than 400 submarine cables in the world. The research company is recognized as the definitive source for telecom news, numbers, and analysis. Its research director, Alan Malden, told Voice of America, or VOA, that China's Huawei Marine has become one of the world's 4 largest submarine cable contractors and has constructed most of the world's submarine cables. According to Huawei Marine's official website, the company has so far built or upgraded 105 submarine cables around the world. That is more than a quarter of the world's total number of cables. The China Academy of Information and Communications Technology released a report this May. It says that Huawei Marine has now increased its global market share to around 20%. The figure is based on estimates of in-progress and planned submarine cable projects for 2018 to 2020. In recent months, there are signs the U.S. has begun to address security concerns regarding the cables. Back in June, the U.S. Department of Justice rejected the Pacific Light cable network that connects Hong Kong and the U.S. due to national security considerations. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security said in a press release, quote, "Routing underseas cables through Hong Kong would provide the People's Republic of China with a strategic opportunity to collect the private information of our citizens and sensitive commercial data." Earlier this year, the U.S. State Department put forward the Clean Network Initiative to protect network infrastructure. It included submarine cables in the 5 major clean areas. So far, more than 40 countries have responded to the initiative. In addition, a member of the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, Jeffrey Starks, recently called for a more rigorous review of submarine cables. Starks once served in the U.S. Department of Justice, and he said the FCC, quote, "must ensure that adversary countries and other hostile actors can't tamper with, block, or intercept the communications they carry."
On Sunday, the leader of the largest party group in the European Parliament, Manfred Weber, condemned the Chinese Communist Party. The chairman of the European People's Party told Italian newspaper Repubblica that the CCP is now the common political enemy of the United States and Europe. He said a common strategy towards China was needed, as it is a political enemy because it questions the benefits of democracy. Also on Sunday, the Foreign Relations Committee chairman of the German parliament said Germany will assist the U.S. to counter the CCP. He said there is an opportunity for the U.S. and Europe to formulate a strategy to ensure the CCP adheres to international regulations. He also said Germany must start a strategic discussion on how to counter the CCP. China's controversial Belt and Road deal in Victoria, Australia could soon be axed. The Australian Parliament is set to review a foreign relations bill later this week. One of the first major deals to be axed under the bill would be the controversial Belt and Road initiative between Victoria, Australia and Beijing. New details have emerged around the controversial deal. Australian cable channel Sky News obtained the information under the Freedom of Information Act. The deal goes back to the summer of 2018. An email from June 8th details the agreement between Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews' government and China's National Development and Reform Commission. But China's Belt and Road deal isn't the only thing that's being dubbed controversial. The Foreign Relations Bill is also getting the same moniker. The Labour Party, the more socialist side, is calling for a rewrite. Labour senators say the bill would put a significant regulatory burden on universities. The bill would give the federal government the power to cancel agreements between individual states with foreign governments that are deemed a threat to Australia. Labour senators argue universities were given no warning before the bill was proposed. They added universities might need to increase their understanding of the kinds of risks foreign governments pose. The majority of the government senators supported the bill. This comes amid tense relations between China and Australia due to the virus and trade. And that's all for today's China in Focus. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow.